One of the next things we're going to talk about is the anatomy of the foot. And it can't be understated how important it is to understand you have 26 different bones in your feet. Each one of those bones will connect to bones surrounding it. Each joint provides information to your brain when it's moved, and it also will absorb the forces that you put into it with every step you take. So when we think about ankle range of motion, we simultaneously have to be thinking about foot range of motion. One of the greatest tools you can use is a lacrosse ball to put input, mechanical input and shear force into each one of those joints individually. If you're seeing a chiropractor, they're going to be assessing you, making sure your joints are moving. But again, this is a great tool you can use to maintain some of that motion and to give you a little bit of extra boost between sessions. So anatomy, we're going to go briefly through this. You have the hind foot, which is your calcaneus and your talus. Then you have your midfoot, where you have a navicular, 3 cuneiform bones, and a cuboid. And then you have the forefoot, which is your metatarsal bones, and then your phalanges. So using this, we're going to find some of those. We're not going to do all 26, but I'll show you here. We use the bowling pin to kind of regionally roll the foot, and a lot of people will do the same thing with the lacrosse ball. But if you bring a little bit more specific attention to where you apply pressure, you can see now I'm right under the head of the 5th metatarsal head. So I can apply that downward pressure there. You can see those metatarsals starting to splay out. And now I can work my dorsiflexion. I can either get into a lunge position and focus on that sagittal plane. I can get into a squat position and do that corkscrewing motion. And you can see how the foot is opening in that position, so I know I'm getting mobility in that spot. Then I can move it over just one more, over to that 4th metatarsal head. Go into that mobility. Into the 3rd, rock a spiral. 2nd, go into a lunge position and work it there. Into that 1st one, be careful here. You have some vascular and neurological tissue here that you want to be careful of. You also have a couple sesamoid bones in there, so find a spot where it's not painful and then go into it. You can go back and forth a little bit. You can move the toes if you want, just be careful. Then you're thinking about these metatarsals and the base of the metatarsal, which is where they connect with the tarsal bones. If you're not familiar with it, just Google foot anatomy. You'll see all these bones I'm talking about. So I'm just going to go right underneath where those 2 bones would come across, and then I lightly go into a little bit of dorsiflexion, then across to the 2nd cuneiform and the 1st, then the 2nd and the 3rd, and then where that cuneiform hooks up with the cuboid on the outside of the foot, just getting a little bit of that dorsiflexion. That superior mobility is really helpful. And then I'm going to go back a little bit further for that navicular on the inside. I can really press down into plantar flexion here to put that pressure upward. And then I can either go into my lunge position and lean forward into it, or I can get into that squat position and just start to mobilize. You're not going to have a ton of mobility here, and that's okay. You're focusing a mobile force right into that joint line, which can be really helpful. So when you get done with that and you do it, you'll notice a huge difference.